Hello guys, welcome back to AOL003. Today I want to do a deep dive on my 3i Atlas data that I did for John. The first tasking was, I think it was the nature of the target. And if you haven't got a chance, if you really want to see a lot of corroborating data, really good project is Adventures in Remote Viewing 3i Atlas. Some other groups have kind of verified our published data after the fact, or at least they got the same stuff. I mean, the data is outrageously out there. So all I could say is even across projects, it seems like viewers are picking up on the same very bizarre things. Okay. So I get a sense of discretion. It's my second time going through this because I had a pop-up, so I had to start over. Okay, so anyway, my first sketch is I get a sense of I'm overhead of a kind of like you're in a plane looking down at property. I got a couple structures, AOL, like an overhead view of a property line. Then AOL drone surveillance, okay? So again, I just got a couple structures kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And I try to go inside of whatever the primary structure happens to be, and I get these three life forms, okay? And these three life forms kind of pop up multiple times in the session. I had human life here. I had human life, like working, slaving away, or whatever. Like this guy feels like he does more manual labor. It's almost as if he's carrying something. So I had a sense of formality. I've got these people, again, human types working on science-y type of things. Instrumentation. It feels like a science, like being aboard a science vessel almost, okay? Or a multi-purpose type of thing. So, just, I mean, the AOL and signals, like a trapping device, a novelty item, metal from Roswell, energetic pulses, okay? I get antenna, range, and mass hallucinations. Took mass hallucinations, pulled that apart. I got institutionalization, insubordination, inclusion, corrupt, massacre, reckless behavior, and a correction device, okay? So, I get this disruptive aspect. Okay, so I had channeling and channeling devices. It's almost as if someone's using to me, in my mind, the picture I was getting, it was almost as if somebody had the technology in order to communicate into people's minds, you know, whether it be like channeling images, so not necessarily like channeling via a person, but channeling like more like using an instrumentation to project images out to people in their minds, type of thing. So again, I get this planetary body and this journey. Influence seemed pertinent, like raising stakes of the game, like a telepathic gesture. Neuroscience and disclosure agreement. Signal a research project. Okay, this feels artificial. Now I did put an egregore in my intangibles, and that could be telling. Dave, too, and I had a discussion about this. I mean, his theory is definitely a possibility. Like everybody's remote viewing some big story around this or whatever. We definitely can't rule that out. It's strange to me that across projects we're getting so much correlating data. It's not like we each made up our own story. It's like we're all remote viewing this same story, whatever this is, the same outcome. Like idol worship, divine frequency. Okay, get a sense someone here feels to be having identity crisis. Okay, numerology. Got an obelisk, AOL. Okay, so I get a sense of tradition, feeling of personal assets, the freedom campaign. It's an interesting AOL, like tracking an arms dealer in outer space. A sense of volatility, a sense of divine origins, spatial anomaly, secular device. So I'm definitely getting like anomaly in space. I mean, it seems like I'm definitely getting like the natural rocky type of thing. But to me, it was almost like it felt like, are they mining this thing in space? Why it's moving or something? It was very bizarre. It feels ominous. I get a projection device. So I took apart secular device. I get containment, electrical communication, fortune-telling device, corruption, calculation error, seismology. So, and here's the big robot, guys. I mean, this is I described him as a Sentry. Looks like he's got communication or something is going on out of his head there. But I've never sketched a robot before, so it's very strange. And I felt like he was almost like up against a rocky surface. So that's really, it's so bizarre. So I went in back again. AOL break achievement. Trajectory. Or tragedy, sorry. Another thing too is, guys, I don't know what this thing is, but it sure is moving awfully strange. I mean, the way it's moving doesn't seem to be anything like a comet. I'm not suggesting that it's what I'm describing here, but again, it's all very strange. Okay, feudalism. It's feudalism. Showmanship. Handcrafted materials. AOL. But again, I get these three characters again. And I get these, what feels like, now these guys don't feel human to me. They feel like different species messing with something. And I get it like they're building something or working on something. AOL brick experiment, like something being made here. I mean, that almost looks like a freaking cat person or something. This almost looks like a like a gray or something. So it's probably one of the strangest targets. I've never had so many different life forms in one target. A sense of craftsmanship, obligation. I'm sensing a spatial anomaly here. Okay, I have a space probe / port. Vortices, gold chamber. So okay, so this is an interesting thing too. I saw this in other sessions. Somebody else did a really good description of this. I had this person like, it's almost like they're in a, like a pod or something, or I'm similar to like a sarcophagus. I don't know, but yeah, it's very strange. And then I get these again when I feel like the three main characters, maybe the three in charge, but there are other people that had like demonic forces or something. I had reptilians, okay? I AOL a reptilian prince here. And it's almost like, it sounds crazy, but it's almost like a AOL extraction point. It's almost like what it feels like to me, like what it reminds me of is almost like a royal family of sorts. That's almost what it felt like to me. And I have revelation, photographic evidence, a sense of extinction, instruction, and a feeling of vitality. I get a sense of rebirth and this ritualistic vibe. Okay, I get a sense of fear from people. AOL Nephilim, like being revered as a god, like posing for a statue. Tall. AOL Shepherding, like collecting artifacts, a collecting tray. AOL Amuamua, thin platelets, stone etching. These beings feel combative. AOL Nostradamus Funeral, casket, chamber, weather-related, valiant Thor. That's my whole AOL there. Okay. Okay, so stage 4.5. I'm sensing a cultural experience. And to me, that's as if, like, the culture is having an experience around this phenomena, okay? I am getting a sense of descending into madness, okay? Like a written bio, these are AOL, like a written bio, skin suit, like terrorists. Okay, so now I have these three beings again, okay? Now these life forms felt as if they were posing as someone else to me, okay? I did not get a good vibe. It felt like, negative forces here. But to me, it was almost as if they were playing nice, but deep down they were these negative forces, okay? I don't like these guys, is what I said. AOL to caper. I got a sense of seniority from these beings. Disclosed information. Okay, so now I've got what feels to me like I'm looking at a large structure, and these could be like bays or rooms or scaffolding possibly around the structure. I don't know, but I get a sense of insubordination. And these could be holding cells for all I know. A sense of commerce here. Okay, I keep getting a sense of something being built. AOL, scare tactics. Okay, I get an envoy and perishable equipment. AOL, special access. I get a timetable. AOL, sonar frequency. I get a polar expedition and a fuselage. Okay, so for me, there were often times where I felt like this object or whatever either came from a polar area or is heading to a polar area. Like it's going to land or something in a pole, like North Pole, South Pole type of thing. Okay, so it's almost as if it's projecting something point by point. I'm getting this open, close, open, close. Objectives, polarity problem, AOL, pinecone structure. Something about it is stereoscopic. A sense of collecting here. AOL to Viceroy. AOL signal, like a game changer. I get portability. AOL, phonetic energy. That's weird. Okay, so variables. These guys feel accountable. I get handheld devices, a sense of modern conveniences from these guys, and prosperity, a commune. It's almost like the overall kind of a vibe. It reminds me of like an old story of like these guys coming down and making all these promises, and meanwhile they have all these sinister kind of intentions. Okay. Correction, instruction, sun, star movement, alignment. This is, yeah, I took apart rapid eye movement. Star movement, alignment, entrance, luminous orifice, institutionalized, open investigation, disruptive influence. Okay. So the overall suggestive thing was to me is if like somebody came down to a place that had humans. Okay, I don't know if it's Earth or elsewhere, but and is like playing this game of influence and like instruction. Okay. Sensing avoiding detection, sensing hybrid warfare, non-compliance, an ancient encampment. And I got this guy, you know, to me it's almost like a representative possibly of this craft, but I don't know if, like I said, I don't buy into their intent if this is real, you know what I mean? I don't know. So I find myself dropping into the target in an area around multiple structures. I find myself focused on 3 individuals periodically throughout the session. I have these life forms surrounding what feels to be an object on a table-like structure. That was early on. I feel something is being built here. It's as though someone has been predisposed to work on what is being handled here. Something here reminds me of some kind of trapping device. I am sensing energetic pulses, mass hallucinations, antenna and range. Okay. Something here or someone feels disruptive and volatile. I have a feeling of influence here. Someone here feels to be in a panic. I have a sense of identity crisis from a life form here. I am sensing tradition here. Personal assets and someone suffering PTSD. I keep getting feelings of divine origins, a spatial anomaly, and a secular device. I am picking up on a projection device / secular device. I'm picking up on frictious metal here. A second pass at the target, I get a feeling of showmanship. Again, picking up on what seems to be the same 3 individuals. Again, life forms, hard at work, vortices come to mind. A sense of extinction and instruction here. A sense of fear from people here. Collection or collecting has significance to what is happening. This target has cultural significance, a feeling of people or persons descending into madness. Getting closer to the 3 individuals, they feel masked in some way, and I get a bad vibe around them. I'm sensing an envoy and getting something akin to scare tactics to people or persons here. I am sensing a timetable related to this, as well as a polar expedition, objectives, and a polarity problem. Again, collecting something feels stereoscopic. This has what feels to me a sciencey vibe. Polarity, or portability, variables, and someone who feels accountable about all this. I'm sensing modern conveniences, a handheld device, prosperity, and a commune. I am sensing non-compliance, avoiding detection, and an ancient encampment. Okay. So that was my first session on that. Okay. So then I went back, and the task said go ahead and check out primary structure, primary goal. I said okie dokie. So here we go. Oh boy, let me get rid of this here. Okay, here we go. So feel a sense of chambers here. AOL tunnel system. AOL widespread panic. So now I've got what it feels to be like this pattern rounded object landing into a surface area. AOL like a grid system, AOL land baron, AOL Boogosphere. Okay, so now I'm back on land in front of a modern day structure, and I see something. This is I'm on a planet, and I see something jetting across the sky. Okay, excuse me, like sputtering out. AOL break interdimensional engine. Now I have what feels to be basically like a, I mean, it looks like a UFO that's dropping something. Okay. AOL escape vectors. And I got this moon, or not moon, maybe it's the sun or something. And it's like, to me, it's as almost if this thing is like tractor beaming this thing right down onto the planet surface, is what it feels like to me. Again, so I get like the sun or the moon there, and then like, I think the sketch is probably self-explanatory. I would suspect that round thing is whatever the asteroid part is, or who knows. Now this is where it gets really weird. So it's almost like these people are like around this object, dancing around and chanting, and it's like they're being influenced in some way. It's almost as if like something's happening in their mind here, and it's a direct correlation between this device and these people. So if anything comes down, which I doubt, all right, I'm not getting anywhere near it. That's just my, which is unlikely, highly unlikely. Okay. I get a disturbing energy. People here feel confused. I get energetic pulses, and AOL to beam weapon. Okay, show me the primary purpose of this structure, and I get sensing an open channel. Now, to me, it's as if something technical is getting set up here in order to play a more direct role in influencing the minds of humanity. I'm just going to be straight out with it. That's what it felt like to me, okay? There's an undercurrent of like manipulation and like that's kind of what it feels like. Okay, so it's interesting. I took apart open channel, and I get a photograph, pulse radar guidance system, fertile ground. What's it attributed? Open exchange, dialogue, extreme measures, direct contact. I don't know if these. I don't know if this direct contact is if there's a person to person, or if there's some kind of channeling device is set up in order to communicate with people. I'm not sure. But I get visionary, stem cell research, corrective, surgical strike, victim, instigation, and a collecting phase. This was so strange to me. So, to me, I don't know what this is, but I can tell you what I felt when I sketched this. To me, it was as if I was sketching an ET in a tunneling system. Okay, that's what it reminded me of. Which again it brings me back to the aspect of the natural aspect of this asteroid or whatever. It's almost as if they are like tunneling it out while it's moving in space or something. But anyway, I got a sense of interlocking from the life here. Or no, that was from me. I got a sense of interlocking. Okay. Like a direct energy weapon for the mind. Okay, so show me what's happening here. And I get this sense of rebirth. Someone's feeling marginalized. And I don't know if that's like the marginalized as in like the folks that are talking about this being something other than just a rock, or if it's the being on this craft or in this whatever. So I'm sensing brainwave patterns here. This place feels very secluded and highly secretive. Sensing a mind-brain interference. So again, I just get, and this is probably symbolic, but it's like I'm getting a sense of like messing with the human mind. I'm hearing chanting. This feels Machiavellian. Sometimes I'll get sight integration, which I think is my subconscious telling me like, okay, you're really on target. And I don't know if that's what it is. Again, the stuff is so weird, but it just makes you wonder: is this happening on some level that we're not perceiving? I mean, why are all the remote viewers picking up on it? Is it a noise thing? And it's a possibility, I guess, but it just doesn't seem likely to me. But it seems very unlikely to happen. Very unlikely. But again, it's corroborative. You know, everybody's getting kind of similar stuff. So I get this idea of plasma. I'm getting a sense of a post-apocalyptic nightmare, like tentacles emanating from a portal, spiritual conquest, the Great Awakening, like stealing life force energy. So I get this feeling of like tentacle. And I don't think you could see this in reality, but it's as these people's minds are getting affected. I'm sensing dark energy here, dark forces. Getting the impression of worshiping false idols or gods here. Sensing much larger forces here. Now, I don't know if that's a numbers thing or physicality larger. I'm not sure, but that's what I was getting. AOL, Large Hadron Collider. Okay, something to do with brainwaves and technology. Show me anything else I would regret not showing, and I have cell structures. Channeling images, connective brain tissue, sense of permanent residence in the mind of others. So again, it's almost as if like some big broadcast or something's being set up in order to kind of like maybe telepathically manipulate or something. It's very, very bizarre. AOL signal, like a memory filtering device. Okay, so this is a weird sketch. So I have this idea of multiplicity, a supplicant, and I'm sensing someone entering the mind of others. This is probably some kind of symbolic image of what I'm picking up here. I'm getting tracking people, like a cosmic filtering device. So what I'm getting is like this ET, or is not human, working on technology, and then it's as if he's putting this idea into this guy's head or something. Again, non-human, big eyes here. This guy, very, almost reminds me like a frog, like human or something. Reptilian. I don't know. Not human. Okay, like playing on humanity's primal urges. I'm sensing an investigation. So target summary. In this session, attempting to focus on primary structure purpose, I first get something jetting across the sky, picking up on a rounded structure. Page 4, I have a structure feels as though it's leaving from wherever it was originally. Page 5, getting a structure with these electrical pulses connecting to the minds of others. The energy here feels disturbing. There is most definitely a non-human component. Channeling came in quite often. I'm sensing direct energy, feelings of being marginalized, very secluded and secretive. What is occurring here? There is a mind-brain interface here. This is procedural. I'm sensing a prism. This target has a Machiavellian feel to it. I'm hearing chanting. I get the sense someone here is getting the message or idea of a post-apocalyptic nightmare. Dark energy here, dark forces. I'm sensing worshipping false idols or gods, brain waves and technology, channeling or channeled images. I'm sensing someone or something setting up permanent residence in the mind of others. Picking up on a supplicant here. Tracking people feels manipulative, as if someone is playing on humanity's primal urges. Yeah, dark stuff there. Where's it coming from? I don't know. But again, you go back to Halbop and all the craziness that they got. It makes me wonder if Farsight would even do this target. So we got a target here that's going to have some level of verifiability to it once it comes around. The odds of any of this happening is very unlikely. Is there some strangeness associated with it? I mean, considering the way it's moving, I would suspect there is. What all this stuff is happening is either not happening, or remote viewing some kind of madness, or it's going to happen, or maybe it's happening somewhere else on another planet that possibly has humans. I don't know. But, John worked the odds on just the group that we did the project on to get this overlapping data, and it's teetering on impossible. And then you stack that with another group that's completely blind, the odds are even more exponentially big. So we stumbled onto something at the very least of interest as to why do we get all this bizarreness when we remote view asteroids or whatever close to the planet. What's going on? Why is it? Is this accurate, or is it skewing with something skewing with our our antenna, or what's going on? Is something being overlaid over our perception? I don't know. But again, like I've said this before, I mean, it makes you, we really got to look closer at some of these esoteric targets, because this whole picture is painting, to me, if none of this ends up coming to fruition, it's painting a very big story, and it just again, it just makes you wonder where it's all coming from. And I've had colleagues that have remote viewed this like on other projects where they didn't have any of this stuff. They just basically had an asteroid coming down and stuff, which makes a lot more sense. And as a remote viewer, all you can do is just report what you get. You know what I mean? You can't really censor. You just got to let it be what it is. And I was very happy, not that I would expect this to happen, but that other people were getting it. So it wasn't just me. Now, does that mean that's going to happen? No, that doesn't. But to me, that's even more interesting. Why are we all getting this crazy stuff? If it's not going to happen, is it going to play out somewhere else? Not going to happen at all. As to the why, we can only speculate. So, again, it's a mystery, guys. But I wanted to show you, what I got out of my sessions. And, if you've seen some of the other groups' data and stuff, you can compare it if you want. I probably won't see it, until much later, possibly, if it's ever, on YouTube. But anyway, that's all I got for today. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Remember to be kind to each other. Please like, subscribe if you need instructions, or if you want to buy me a coffee, support the channel. All those, if you want remote viewing instruction, all those directions are in the link, how to do those things, in the description of the channel. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time, guys, on AOL 003.